Jay, how you doing?
Good, what's up? How you doing?
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I don't want to assume you hold any beliefs. So, are you a Christian? I find it's better to ask questions rather than to assume views or positions.
Yeah, Orthodox Christianity.
Okay. So is this alternatively at the same time going out to some radio station? Not that I mind being heard. Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, we're on WWKQ 105 out of Nashville. No, I'm joking. There's no radio. It's on my YouTube channel. It's not on radio.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so I have some questions. So, is this is the reason you do this, and I do some mild activism on my page as well. Not that I'm plugging myself and getting people to follow me, but is your main thing here that you want to bring people to Christ or Christianity or get them to change their mind?
We do a lot of things over here. We do movie analysis. We do geopolitical analysis. Not really activism, more of a intellectual, educational approach to questions. And then part of what we do is debates and apologetics to defend Orthodox Christianity. So yes, that's part of what we do.
Sure. And I think so. With me, I think it's good to change mind, because I think, every now and then, if you change your mind, then you remember that you have one. But so I think you would agree with me that
I've changed my mind many times.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So in the spirit of it's good to change your mind, what would possibly make you change your mind that Christianity is the true religion? I know I'm putting you on the spot a bit, but
no, I don't care.
Yeah.
You can say whatever you want. It's open forum. Anybody can
so
make any challenges or questions.
What would change your opinion that Christianity is the truth?
I think if there was another worldview that was better at giving an account for the fundamental aspects of reality, ethics, epistemology, metaphysics, or if there was some sort of, massive internal contradiction within Christianity that was demonstrable, that might make me question it or rethink it. But, I've not heard those things yet.
Sure. I mean, my position is just to be open. I'm an agnostic atheist. So my own take is that sometimes people think agnostic and atheist are the answer to the same question, whereas we're agnostic because gnostic by definition is to do with knowledge. So we are agnostic. We don't know if there's a God or not. So theism and atheism, those are positions of whether you believe it's true. I don't know if you've heard this point. Sorry if I'm repeating myself if you've heard it before. So
I understand the difference between the terms.
Sorry, go on, sir. Oh, sorry, I thought you were going to say something.
I said, yes, I understand the difference between the term atheist and agnostic, yeah.
Yeah. So, I would say, for me, I am about 0.0001% convinced that there is a supernatural deity presently existing. So, see, what I find interesting is, just from looking at religions and God, is that, so not every religion has a God. I think about 2/3 of religion have a God. About 1/3 of religions are atheistic, i.e. Jainism or Buddhism. But what I find interesting is that every religion has an afterlife. So for me, the question that should be asked is not whether a God exists. I think the question is of psychology. So I think what religion does, you may disagree with this opinion, I think the idea that you have an afterlife is the greatest marketing gimmick ever made. So this, and you can come back on this with your own thoughts, it's the idea that, oh, you're so special, you're so supercilious, you're so amazing. After you die, that's not the end. There's a continuation. There's a cinematic universe where you're involved, where films are made for 80 years or for infinity. So I think it appeals to our human ego, where we want to think, oh, I can't just die and become maggot buffet. I have to get this sort of VIP ticket to this eternal theme park of paradise, and it's going to be wonderful, and I'm going to see my grandparents in young age, and it's like a utopia. So I think that's very appealing. Like,
so yeah, can I make a statement?
So I just say one last sentence and can come. Thank you for the time. So I think that's very appealing, because the idea that you just die and then you get eaten by worms, it's sort of minimizing yourself as you are. But yeah, so I'll come to the question now. So would you, if you was being, I mean, I don't see no reason why you shouldn't be honest. You seem like a sincere person. So would you say that appeal of, yes, Jay will have an afterlife if I believe, do you think that is some level of your reason for belief?
So what you did, and I don't object to you asking those kinds of questions, but
sure,
what you said was really just a psychological report and an emotional appeal, neither of which constitute an argument or have anything to do with whether religion and the afterlife are true or not.
Okay. Well, I have no reason to think it's true, because I've seen...
Okay, but wait a minute. Whoa. But Grant, I understand. So I understand that you question theology, religion, the afterlife. That's fine. But the argumentation that you gave was a psychological report of where you think the desire for that to be the case comes from human desire and ego, and what we call an emotional appeal, that people believe this because they want to, and but none of that is an argument.
No, I'm saying it's the reasoning. I'm not saying why you should believe or not, but what I want to know is that appeal, like the idea that...
So let's put it this way. My response to you is that I believe that God's existence is objectively provable, and that there's a logical, philosophical argumentation that can demonstrate that. So all of what you said is neat, but doesn't have anything to do with whether or not God exists or whether or not there's an afterlife. You just gave, again, an emotional appeal, which is a fallacy.
No, I'm saying the appeal of emotion is to the theist, not to me, because it appeals to that person.
That has nothing to do. It does nothing to. That's no, it doesn't. Do you understand what a fallacy is? An emotional appeal is a fallacy.
I know it's a fallacy, but I think the fallacy is for the theist, because
it's not a fallacy for a theist, because it's not an argument against the position. It's just you're reporting about how you think the belief arises, but that has nothing to do with whether it's true or false.
Okay, but what I'm saying, I'll talk about, I've seen people die and they pretty much stay dead, so there's no reason to I'm not seeing, you believe in Christianity,
so what, we only believe the things that we've only...
After 3 days, you believe that on faith.
So no, I don't believe it purely on faith. So you only believe the things that are what, locally, visibly, phenomenally present to you at this moment?
I know when it comes to objective claims such as God, then or an afterlife, it doesn't make sense if you look at it from a scientific point of view, because anyone who's gone into a neurology clinic can see that a brain that is slightly damaged, we lose all our primary senses, our memories are affected. So the idea that if you've got a body rotting in the ground for thousands of years, and then it's going to resurrect, and that person is going to come back in their original form with the same personality, there is no sort of rational basis for thinking that.
Well, what you consider rational and what you consider possible is already based on your presuppositions and your worldview. And so if you're committed to a naturalistic worldview, then I need to know how you can make knowledge claims at all, given your naturalism.
Okay, well, we make knowledge claims through, there's empirical claims, there's ways to test, like, if someone is pregnant, you can do a pregnancy test, and it's pretty much yes or no. And then you can also do sort of like ultrasound or whatever, and you can see the embryo.
So you're saying, as an empiricist, so you think that basically all human knowledge comes from sense data?
Well, when it comes to objective claims, yeah.
How do you know the claim all knowledge comes through sense data is true from sense data?
Because it's not circular reasoning. So, for example, if someone writes in a book that evolution is true, that would not mean evolution is true. You can, or for example, if someone says coronavirus is real, it won't be true because it's written in a book by an epidemiologist. It will be true because you can go and do.
But I'm asking a different question. You don't understand the question I'm asking. It's no. You made a universal.
It's written in the book.
You made a universal claim all knowledge is from sense data, and I'm saying that it's fundamentally contradictory, and I can show you that, because you can't show that proposition to be true from sense data. There's no sense data that tells you that all knowledge comes from sense data, and that's your governing presupposition.
But I would not regard faith as knowledge.
Did you not hear? That has nothing to do with the claim. I just criticized your belief, your claim. How is that criticism not devastating to your epistemology?
Well, I'm not here to talk about my epistemology, because there's certain ways of me things. Yeah. So
you're making knowledge claims that are the basis for why God doesn't exist, and I want to know how you have a justification for knowledge claims at all. And you just gave me a big contradiction. So I'm not getting how you have knowledge at all.
I don't understand where you saw the contradiction.
All knowledge comes from sense data, you said. That proposition itself, which is a...
Objective claims.
Okay, yeah, all objective claims come from sense data. That proposition itself is not a truth that you can find in sense data. You think it's an objectively true statement, don't you?
Yep.
Is it found in is that true? Are you listening to me? People never listen. They just blow past. Is the proposition itself in sense data?
Sorry?
The proposition itself. All objective knowledge comes from... Can you not answer the question? Can't understand it. It's a very simple argument. Do you know who David Hume is? It's a critique of David Hume.
Okay, I'm not familiar with David Hume.
You said all objective knowledge comes from... sense data. Do you want me to ask you for the 5th time? All objective knowledge comes from sense data. Where in sense data is that proposition itself?
Well, there's a way you can test things. So, for example, I had COVID, and then I did
the proposition itself. I'm not asking about, you're not answering the question.
It's not verified by me testing it. So you can do it. You can test me for COVID. And
how do you test that proposition? I'm not talking about COVID. Dude. What are you talking about? COVID? The proposition itself.
I'm giving you an example.
That's not this proposition.
I don't think you understand.
I do understand. You don't understand. The proposition itself, all knowledge that's objective comes from sense data. That proposition, do you understand? That's a sentence claim of proposition. You know what a proposition is?
Yeah.
That proposition, not COVID. That proposition. Where in sense data is that proposition? Stop interrupting me until you answer the question, or I'm going to boot you. You're not going to answer the question. How many times must I ask people these questions?
You're unable to understand, so you're putting it on me. You're deflecting.
I'm not deflecting, because it's a battle of worldviews and who can give an account for epistemology. That's my argument. My argument for theism is the one that gives an account for epistemology. You made a really big claim. All knowledge that's objective comes from sense data. All you got to do is tell me where in sense data that proposition is known. And it can't be known because it's a universal claim. You don't have universal sense data.
I can't explain it again if you're unable to understand.
You can't explain anything. You're not answering anything. This is always what you people do. It's a very simple question. Is it just ignorance of philosophy? I'm not trying to be mean to you. It's just like, do you not understand the question that I'm asking you? Can you repeat? Tell you what, can you repeat to me? Can you repeat to me?
We'll have to agree to disagree, because you think I don't understand the question.
Well, can you clear that up for me and repeat?
There's no point going around.
If you're not going to answer the question, then I'm going to boot you, because you're not. It's look. All you have to do is just repeat
You're not understanding the answer, but you don't want to look stupid.
You don't have an answer.
So you're trying to put it on me. Okay.
I'm not, bro. I'm not worried about looking stupid, dude. You made a claim. I'm just asking you to explain that claim given your system. Do you not understand that?
I've done that. Let's move on. If you can't understand, that's beyond your comprehension. That's fine. I don't understand everything about everything.
So you just said that you don't know about David Hume, but you think that this is my problem of comprehension.
David Hume. I've never read David Hume.
I know, exactly. So it's not a problem of comprehension. On my end. Classical quotes. It never fails when we have this question come up. No matter how many times you ask a very simple question about a universal epistemic claim, they will not answer it. They blow past it. If you want me to believe your empiricism and your skepticism, fine. You have a progenitor who is better and more eloquent at you in this position. His name's David Hume. You should go read him. So I know David Hume's argument, and you're just repeating it, and you don't even understand that you made a universal claim. And all I'm asking for is if all knowledge comes from sense data, or all objective knowledge comes from sense data, then in your system, that proposition itself has to also come from sense data, because that's a knowledge claim. This is a very simple argument. And to tell me I don't comprehend your answer, you didn't give an answer. And you didn't understand what I'm asking. Go ahead, dude. Classical quotes. Go ahead. Yeah, I don't care if you're thumbing me down. If you're going to do a philosophical debate, you might want to know a little bit about philosophy. Morgan, what's up?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, hi, Mr. Dyer. I was wondering, can I still participate in Orthodoxy without going to a church? Because where I live does not have an Orthodox, whether it's Eastern or Greek, doesn't have one.
Yeah, you just do you do the best that you can. I think God knows that. I mean, we have people who are baptism of desire in the church who couldn't, fully be received. So yeah, you do the best that you can. Exactly. Good question. Classical quotes. Did you want to try again? You're being mean. Did I not tell everybody at the beginning of this that if you won't answer the question, I will keep bringing it back until you answer the question? Classical quotes. Do you want to say something? Where you at, dude? Come on. Today is not for people that have called in a million times. Please, if you are coming on, it's because you take issue or disagree. So remember, it's disagreement day. Ortho-gnome. I mean, do I have to write it on a whiteboard? Would that help people out, what we're saying here? I thought I had my whiteboard in here. Where is it at? Whiteboard Summer. Let me get the whiteboard. And what did we see? The same old thing. Machine gun blow past. Let's blow past into other topics. Nope. No lazy atheism allowed here. All knowledge that's objective comes from sense data. Okay? Can we all see this? See that? This is a proposition that makes what's called a universal claim. See that word all there? That's a universal quantifier that is making a statement about all states of human knowledge. All human knowledge that is objective comes from sense data. Okay, that is a very strong claim when we stop and pause and think about the claim. Okay? So this is the question that I'm asking to this person. See the brackets there? The brackets are bracketing that proposition. I want to know where in sense data that proposition is. Because this claim here would include the claim itself, you see. In other words, if all objective knowledge comes from sense data, this is an objective knowledge claim. It must therefore also be somewhere in sense data. Of course, this universal claim is in no one's individual sense data. Therefore, it's a fundamental contradiction for basic bitch empiricism. It is an empiricist critique 101. So if you're going to come at me with worse than David Hume skepticism, I'm going to give you the David Hume better than you skeptical response. Because I can be a better skeptic than you. Because David Hume is a classic skeptic. Where you at, Orthognome? Espindola, what's up? I mean, you have the microphone, dude. What's up? Unmute.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
First of all, thank you for getting my request. Just for context, I'm an Orthodox Christian, but there's a question that many atheistic or agnostic friends of mine always end up asking me,
Okay.
like, when they question my beliefs or anything.
Okay.
And that is that any claim made, they say, I'm trying to put it on words, but they say that if all human knowledge, logic, and, empiricism and universal claims, it's all based on, it's like human creations, how can we trust these affirmations like that?
Well, hold on. First of all, how could a universal... Hold on. How could a universal claim be based on human creation? That right there doesn't make any sense. Do you have universal experience?
Yeah, exactly. For example, if I want to give a proof about God in a logic way or, in a philosophical way, the debate always ends up in, but that's just like human truth. You can't really prove that it's objective.
Okay, well then if that's just human truth and subjective, then their own claim against it is also human truth and subjective and thus undercut.
Yeah, that's usually how the debate ends up, so no one is convinced by the end of the argument.
Well, but no, hold on, but they've just...
That's your truth,
Well, if they reduce their position to pure subjectivism, relativism, and skepticism, then they can't say anything. Then they don't have an argument against.
They agree with that most of the time. They say, "Oh yeah."
Okay,
exactly,
well then you've done your job as a
really prove that.
Then you've done your job as an apologist, because their position now means that nothing is provable.
Yeah, that's usually how the debate ends up.
Okay, well if nothing is provable, then they can't prove Christianity false.
Yeah, exactly.
So then that's all you can do.
Like wondered if
there's not
something more, because they just shrug it off and we can't really prove anything.
Well, if we can't prove anything, then you've done your job, and they don't have any argument against Christianity. So that's all you really can do. I mean, apologetics only goes so far, right? It doesn't. I mean, apart from, the individual being open to what's true and God working on their heart and all these other factors, logic and argumentation only go so far. Ultimately, it's not a question of knowledge, right? Man's fundamental issue is not knowledge, it's ethics.